The sun was barely awake when the whistle cut through the misty air of the training ground, dragging every recruit into formation. Boots scuffed against gravel as the newest members of the army stumbled into their lines, each trying to look sharp despite the exhaustion of the early hour. Clara adjusted her cap, standing tall even as a few stray strands of hair slipped from beneath it. She had spent her entire life on a farm, where the mornings started before dawn and ended long after sunset. For her, this was nothing new. Hard work was her second nature. But the others didn't see it that way. From the moment she arrived at Bootcamp, she felt the eyes on her. She wasn't polished like the city kids who had grown up in gyms or military prep schools. Her hands carried calluses from years of gripping tools, her boots looked worn though they were new, and her accent had the soft drawl of country roads. The whispers started small at first, drifting along the rows during roll call. "She's just a farm girl," one voice hissed. "Probably thinks a tractor's the same as a tank," another joked. By the time morning drills began, the mocking had taken on a sharper edge. "Hey, farm girl," one of the taller recruits called out when they broke into running groups. "You sure you didn't bring a cow along for company?" His voice carried, drawing snickers from the cluster around him. Clara didn't turn her head. She fixed her eyes on the path ahead and ran, her stride steady and controlled. On the farm, she had chased cattle across muddy fields and hauled sacks of feed heavier than most of these recruits could imagine. The run barely winded her, but still they laughed when she didn't snap back. Later, during push-ups, the same voices resurfaced. As Clara pressed her palms into the earth, the boy next to her glanced at the rough patches on her skin. "Look at her hands," he sneered. "She's got farmer's paws. Bet she can't even hold a rifle without snapping it in half." The recruits nearby chuckled, grateful it wasn't them being targeted. Clara ignored them again, dropping and rising with perfect rhythm while their elbows buckled and their arms trembled. Every task that followed seemed to give the bullies more material. During the obstacle course, they mimicked mooing noises when she vaulted over a wall. At the mess hall, they whispered about whether she even knew how to use a fork instead of a pitchfork. Even when she outperformed them, beating their times on sprints, carrying heavier packs, finishing drills without complaint, they clung to their insults as if laughing at her could erase the sting of their own failures. Clara endured it all in silence. She had been mocked before, back in school, for smelling of hay or showing up with dirt under her nails after helping her father in the fields. She had learned then that silence was stronger than words, that people who wasted their breath on insults only revealed their own weakness. So she didn't waste her energy. She let them laugh, let them jeer, and when the sergeants barked orders, she obeyed with precision that left her detractors gasping behind her. But beneath her quiet composure, she carried something none of them could guess at. Each insult she endured was nothing compared to the weight she had carried at home, responsibilities far beyond her years after her father passed, the long nights of keeping the farm alive with her own two hands, the battles no one had seen. And deeper still, hidden beneath her uniform, was a secret inked into her very skin, a truth that none of these loud-mouthed recruits could begin to comprehend. As the day wore on and the sun rose higher, the laughter of the bullies grew louder, more confident, convinced she was nothing more than a joke. Clara simply adjusted her cap again, her face unreadable. They saw only a farm girl, but she knew the day would come when they would see the truth, and when it did, their laughter would be replaced with silence. The afternoon sun beat down on the recruits as if it wanted to crush them into the dirt. Sweat rolled down their necks, soaking through their fatigues, and every breath seemed heavier than the last. Captain Hughes paced in front of them with a hawk's gaze, barking orders in a voice that carried the weight of years in battle. "Off with your jackets, you think this is hot? The desert won't forgive you. Strip down to undershirts, move it." His words echoed, and within moments the recruits were peeling the damp cloth from their backs. Clara pulled off her jacket without hesitation. The others around her grumbled, tugging at sleeves that clung with sweat, some collapsing onto the ground as if the fabric alone had been holding them up. Clara remained calm, kneeling to retee her boots before the next drill. As she bent forward, her undershirt shifted slightly, revealing the edge of something dark and deliberate against her skin. The boy who had mocked her the most noticed first. His smirk froze as his eyes caught the intricate lines curling upward from beneath the fabric. "Hey," he muttered to the recruit beside him, pointing discreetly. "What is that?" More eyes turned. The jeers that had been prepared for another round of laughter caught in their throats. The farm girl had a tattoo, but not some childish design. What peeked out looked sharp, military, and strangely familiar. And when Clara straightened again, stretching her shoulders, the shirt shifted enough to expose the full piece. Gasps spread like wildfire. Etched across her back in bold, unwavering ink was the insignia of a legendary Special Forces unit, an emblem known even to those who had only studied the military in passing. It was no decorative design, every line carried weight, precision, and meaning. Underneath it, in deep black letters, a motto stretched across her shoulders, words that only the most elite soldiers carried with pride. The bullies who had laughed at her all day fell silent at once, their throats dry, their faces pale. For the first time, Clara felt their eyes not dripping with scorn but loaded with confusion and fear. Captain Hughes stopped mid-stride. He had seen the insignia too, and the change in his face was immediate. His sharp command softened, his boots crunching heavily on the gravel as he approached. The recruits stiffened in their lines, all too aware that something important was happening. Hughes stopped just a foot from Clara, his shadow falling over her as he demanded, "Recruit Clara, where did you get that tattoo?" His voice wasn't angry now, it carried a tension that only the most seasoned ears could hear. Clara turned to face him, calm as ever. Her eyes didn't waver, her posture remained proud, and when she answered, her voice was low but steady enough for everyone nearby to hear. "It was my father's. He earned it through his service. Before he passed, he gave me permission to carry it with me." "Captain Hughes, you knew him, didn't you?" The commander's jaw tightened. Memories flashed in his mind of a soldier he had once served with, a man whose bravery had saved lives in missions most of these recruits would never even hear about. Hughes recognized the motto, the insignia, and suddenly, he saw more than just a farm girl in front of him. He saw a living legacy. The silence that followed was thick. Even the bullies, who only hours ago had taunted Clara mercilessly, couldn't bring themselves to look her in the eye. Their laughter had vanished, replaced with shame that burned hotter than the sun above. Hughes gave her a single firm nod, his voice carrying, across the stunned field, "Stand tall, recruit, you have already earned respect most of these men will spend years chasing." The words cut deeper than any insult, and every recruit felt it. Clara said nothing more, she didn't need to. Her father's shadow stretched across that training ground through her, and her silence spoke volumes louder than any retort could have. From that moment forward, no one dared mock her again. To the bullies, she was no longer just a farm girl, they now knew she was something far greater, a soldier born of a hero's blood, carrying honor inked into her skin.